possession in a game. You know, on the positive, that was something that we showed them in practice, right, and it showed up on game day, and he made a hell of a play in that regard. You know, on the other side of it, I'm going to use the example. We showed them that sneak play that they ran on 4th down. All right, we used that in a Saturday morning walkthrough. Got prepared for it, kind of talked about it, worked it, but we didn't execute it in the moment. And so every single rep matters, whether it's a walkthrough rep on a blacktop outside of a hotel on Saturday, or a Tuesday or Wednesday practice red zone rep that we end up getting a takeaway off of it. Every single rep matters, and it can be the difference in the game. And we saw that on Saturday.
Yeah, you talked about situational success. What would you say went into those twice when they were within 5 yards of the goal line and you guys made stops? Like, what would you say was the key there?
You know, we put in a little, we tweaked some things that we were doing down there from a scheme standpoint, but I think it was just the different variations of stuff that we have already been doing. Our guys are just getting better and more comfortable at things that we're defending down in the red zone. So, you know, red zone defense, it's not overly complicated in some of the things that we do from like what we're asking them to do scheme-wise, but how you defend all the different variations of passing concepts that teams run down there, it takes a little while to kind of lean into that, and I think our guys are starting to do a nice job. And to, you know, to his point before, they're playing with anticipation.
Yeah, hey, Coach. Just with Q Robinson's injury, just maybe what does that do to the Wolf linebacker depth, and who do you maybe look to step up in his absence?
Yeah, you know, Q, unfortunately, you know, he's done a tremendous job this season, and unfortunately will not be with us for the rest of the year. You know, that's a hard thing to go through as a player. That's certainly hard on us as a team. You know, when you have a guy that's been so productive for us, he's a leader for us. I've been so impressed with Q. I've told you guys this before, just impressed with his level of urgency every single day. The leadership and demanding presence in terms of holding the standard that I think he really has brought to some of our younger players and some younger guys in that room. And so he'll still have to continue some of those roles, right, of being a great leader. He's just going to have to do that from an off-the-field role. And so we'll have to continue to step up and move on without him. I've got a lot of confidence in some of our younger players that I think have stepped up in that position already. And Quay Rousseau and Yanze Pierre is doing a really good job starting to get a little bit more out of him. And so, you know, those guys are excited for the challenge, next man up mentality. And when you look in, you know, as the season goes on, these are the defining moments. Is do players step up in the moment when they're needed, and ultimately that will, you know, determine our success here on the back end of the season.
Let's go, Tony, on the left side.
And two quick follow-ups on that. We didn't see Keanu Coote, at the LSU game. And then is there an update on him? And then also, how much progress have you seen from Keeley and just kind of his move to that position?
Okay, Keon Keeley, yeah, so Keon is playing the bandit position. Actually, got in the game at the end there, is doing some really nice things. You know, I think learning the position, you know, he's always been a stand-up guy, right? So that's a totally different world when you're putting your hand in the dirt and you're playing all those things. But I think, you know, there's some optimism about what he can do for us. He's just learning the position. But from a physical standpoint, from an effort standpoint, I think he's really taking steps in the right direction there. So Keanu Coate won't be with us this week. I'll let Kalen kind of address those things, but certainly the other guys in the room are ready to step up and fill the role that will, you know, without Q Rob being there.
Let's go to Mike in the middle here.
What does Jihad bring to you when he's on the edge, and without Q, is that something maybe we can explore a little bit more?
Yeah, we you know, we're doing those things with Jihad already, you know, as a pass rusher and some sub package things, you know, and I think he's really he's such a difference maker wherever you put him on the field, and so you want to find creative ways to get him in one-on-one matchups from a pass rush standpoint. There's things that we can do from a standpoint of if we show him as a defensive end and then drop him out in coverage, right? There's different things that we can do scheme-wise from that perspective. But certainly in terms of giving us pass rush, I think that is a piece of his game, and that's what, to me, makes him such a well-rounded player. You can play him as an inside backer, you can play him as an outside backer, as a rush edge. That dude's playing 4 different positions for us right now and is able to hold a lot of volume in terms of what we ask him to do. And so Jihad's playing at a really high level. We're going to utilize him any way we can.
Go to Kurt right next to Mike.
Pardon me, Coach. You've intimated some of this, but I was curious as to the progress of the team going from day one forward. Was this a big step in a kind of a permanent step this week, or would you say it was still just part of the trend line?
Yeah, I would love to say it's a permanent step. I just don't have a crystal ball, in front of me there. I think our guys are taking steps in the right direction. I think we're trending in the right direction as a defense. I do think there are players understanding of what we're trying to do from a scheme standpoint. I think our players fundamentally are getting better and better. Our coaches are doing a really tremendous job of just continuing to build the fundamentals within our players. And they're starting to play with a lot of offensive recognition and anticipation, And so to me, to me, the makings of a good defense are to, create enough negative plays and game-changing style plays and also limit explosives at the same time. And I think we're doing that at a higher level, than where we were maybe at the beginning of the season. So,
Jumping to the left side, let's go to Colin.
Hey, Kane. With those players, you mentioned Quay, you mentioned Yanzi as guys that would replace Q Robinson. I'm curious what kind of example that Q Robinson has been to those younger players, whether it's even if it's the next guys up like Justin, or what kind of example has Q Robinson been in terms of on-field, like this is what we expect out of a linebacker in that position?
Yeah, I think kind of going on what I said before. I think Q holds the standard of urgency, practice habits, discipline that it takes to do that role and to play that position, because there's a lot of things that we ask that guy to do in terms of being a part of the run fit, dropping out in coverage, folding back inside, blitzing off the edge, all those different skill sets, right, that it requires. And there's also a lot mentally that those guys have to be locked into. And so I think Q's really set the standard of the urgency that you have to be disciplined to do your job in that role. But then there's also just a level of energy that he brings, and effort that he brings to practice, and it shows up on game day in terms of some of the physicality and effort that he's showing. So, those other guys, it's a great room. C-Rob does a really, really good job with those guys, and they're bought into to that position, like what we do out of it, and they like their role. But, ultimately, when you have a guy that has been a really steady presence and a playmaker on defense, those other guys are going to have to step up in the moment.
We're going to finish up with Katie here in the middle.
You talked in your opening about keys to victory, and you do a lot of the weeks. Are those actual tangible things you come up with for the guys each week, and then are able to point to after the game of, okay, we did this and it helped us win, or
Yeah.
we didn't do this and it contributed to a loss?
Yeah, so we started doing that years ago. I mean, there's things that we carry within the Swarm D that are kind of our identity, who we are as a defense. And then on top of that, we talk about what are the 3 things that we have to do to win this game specifically. So we talk about it as a defensive staff on Mondays, and then we present it to the players on Tuesday morning, and then we review that on Sunday of whether we hit those markers or not. Some of those things, are tangible. Things that we ask our guys to do in terms of maybe stopping the run with a certain number, or third down efficiency, or whatever it may be. But other things like affecting the quarterback, you can point to certain tangible things, but also did we put him in a position to where the quarterback played at a more uncomfortable level than what he normally plays? And, I thought we were able to do that this past week, and so that was going to be a critical piece of the game, and so we kind of made sure we laid that out for the players.
All right, thank you, Coach.
All right, thanks, guys. Roll Tide.
All right, we'll go ahead and take questions for Coach Sheridan. If you have a question, raise your hand. Start here with Nick.
Yeah, what types of pre-snap adjustments did you guys make from previous road games to help you guys out more this game?
Well, we certainly evaluated what we had done in the past and then tried to just alter some of the lines of communication. It wasn't anything drastically different. We just did a better job of it.
Go all the way back in the room here on the right line.
For a confidence standpoint, how big was that win on the road? And what are you telling your guys about playing in a hostile environment with everyone watching?
Well, I think I don't think the confidence of the group has wavered. We just we're looking forward to another opportunity in an environment like that to play better, and so we did that, and that was I was excited for the players because I know they were itching to get back into an environment like that against a quality opponent on a big stage, and so they handled it better than we had in the past, certainly, and so I was proud of them. And we know there's a lot of work to be done still, and we know that there'll be other moments where we'll need to improve on things that we've done previously, and so that's really the focus. But I was proud of them on how they handled the environment.
Far left, Chase.
Jalen didn't get sacked against LSU. I know he got flushed out of the pocket pretty quick a couple times, but considering that road environment you just mentioned, considering LSU's got a premier pass rusher with Swinson, number 4, was this the best pass pro night of the season for y'all?
Well, I think we were efficient running the football, and that kept us out of some situations, that allowed them to rush. And I certainly felt like up front the guys did a great job, both in the run game and in the protection. There certainly was time for Jalen back there to go through reads. And I thought Jalen was very decisive in the pocket as well. He threw the ball to some checkdowns. He got the ball out of his hand. I thought the staff did a nice job collectively of putting together some plays that allowed him to do that, and certainly the players deserve the credit for bringing that to life. So I think it was a combination of things, of trying to stay out of some of those situations. I know I had mentioned that early in the week about being efficient on first and second down, trying to stay out of some really tough spots where there's really no guesswork on if it's a run or a pass. And so we certainly handled that well, and having no sacks in that environment, the credit belongs to the players for their execution in those moments.
Let's go to Emily Grace in the middle of the room.
Coach, you and some of the staff made your way down to the field towards the end of the game. What was that walk like through the end zone for you?
Well, I was just trying to, the game was essentially over, and the only thing that was left was us taking a knee when we got the ball back, and so just trying to get down to the people that you care about and enjoy those moments, those brief moments that you have in those type of environments. So I was just happy for the players, their families, everybody that put so much hard work into each week, and so to be able to get down there at the end, not just myself but the other guys that are up in the box, it was a special moment, and I was glad I was able to do it.
Let's go to Katie.
You guys finished 10 of 13 on third downs. How much was that staying out of those third and long situations, but then also just kind of the execution of the guys on third down?
Combination, certainly that was a point of emphasis over the break. We had not been, we did not execute well in the previous 2 games on third down. There was no surprise, that was no secret. And so we certainly looked at it closely over the break on what we were doing, what LSU was going to present to us in those situations to try to, be better. And we were. And so that was certainly a critical point in the game, or a critical factor in the game, was our ability to stay on the field and execute in third downs.
Go in front right here to Kennington.
We saw Jim Miller have a really big role in pass catching. How have you seen that area of his game in the running back room's game grow from fall camp to now?
I think both him and Justice have had good moments catching the ball out of the backfield. Third downs, just keeping the chains moving, both of those guys. And that's certainly a factor, and something that we consider in our offense, the variety of routes and concepts that we want to make sure that we use each and every week. The different route tree that each group of players, wide receivers, tight ends, running backs, that we ask them to do is certainly big, and they've handled it well. I think Coach Gillespie's done a great job of coaching them up on some of those routes, and they've done a great job of executing in those moments. So, yeah, Jam was certainly impactful in the game. Justice has been in the past. Their ability to come out of the backfield and catch the football is certainly, it makes it easier for the quarterback. It makes it harder to defend for us offensively, and something that we'll always incorporate in our offense.
Far right here, Matt.
What do you think of the job they did settling down after the penalty on the first play there?
We did good. Yeah, did better than the first play for sure. Yeah.
All right, let's go to Colin on the left.
When you think about the makeup of your quarterback room, whether it's Jalen, whether it's Austin, Dylan, any of those guys, Ty, is there a commonality in terms of, mental makeup, physical attributes, like an intangible that all of them share?
Yeah. Well, intangibles wouldn't be anything physical, right? So I think character, who they are as people. They have great families. Their parents have raised them the right way. And I think they're mentally tough. So those would be commonalities amongst all those guys. And I think at this level, that would be pretty standard across, the highest level of football, is guys that have great character, they're built the right way, and that are mentally tough.
We have a question on the back left here.
The Russian attack paid off pretty early in the game against LSU. What did you see in their defense that you knew could limit them?
Well, I think each week you're trying to identify what you need to do to win the game. And certainly the last few weeks, that has been a priority for us, based on who we have, is a commitment to running the football. And it's not always going to work out that way. You have to look at who you're playing, both from a schematic standpoint and from a personnel standpoint, and then you try to put your players in the best position to be successful. I think weather was a factor as well. We were mindful of what the forecast was going to be and what the game might turn out to be. And so you factor in a lot of different things as you're preparing for a game. And then you have to adjust in game based on how they're defending you and what's working and what's not. And so, some of the plays that we were able to execute, the players did a great job of making the right plays at the right time. I thought we blocked well. And so that usually, puts you in a position to be able to run the football effectively. I thought the guys that ran the football ran hard and tough. I thought the tight ends blocked well. I thought we did a nice job. And certainly when you can control the line of scrimmage and run the ball effectively and efficiently, that's always a good formula, particularly when you're on the road.
We got time for a couple more questions. Start with Jack here in the front row.
Hey, Nick, we've heard Tyler Booker praised as a leader all season, but how have you kind of seen him maybe evolve as one, whether it's just for the offensive line unit or just a leader for the offense as a whole?
Yeah, I can't credit him enough. I think he's been fantastic. He's obviously an exceptional football player, but his leadership throughout the course of this season has been outstanding, and we're going to continue to lean on him in that regard. I think he's become more and more comfortable, probably holding people accountable, challenging people. We've made a concerted effort to let him know that, we have his back in that way. Everybody in the program respects Tyler Booker, and so when he sees something that's not up to par, he has the authority to make sure that he holds people accountable. And I think that's what great leaders do. And he is that. There's no doubt about it. He's obviously an exceptional football player, but his influence on our team and our side of the football, not just with the offensive line, but all the positions, has been exceptional. And, we expect that to continue.
We'll finish up with Emily Grace, who has a follow-up.
Coach, in postgame, Jalen said that you coached him really hard to do what the play asks of him. In what ways did you see that on the field, and what was your approach in preparing him for the LSU game?
Well, we just, not specific to him, but all the players, we want them to execute things a certain way. Sometimes you can have production and yet you didn't do it the right way. And sometimes when that happens, your consistency over time is not what you want it to be. And so there's a right way to do things fundamentally, reads, footwork. If you're a blocker, hat placement, leverage, you name it, there's a right way to do it so that you can get repeated and consistent results. And so that certainly was a message to the players that, just because you had production doesn't mean that you did it right. And the longer you play, when you go against good teams, your fundamentals, your technique, the simple execution always shows up. And so we were better. We did a better job. But the things that have happened this past week will have no impact on the game this Saturday. And so our ability to have the right week of preparation, the right mindset, the right work ethic, so that you can continue to improve. Your best game should be your next game if you have the right mindset, the right work ethic, and that's the message to the guys, to do it right all the time, and so that you have the best results that you possibly can have when those moments show up. Okay? Thanks. Roll Tide.
All right, same routine. We'll have Coach DeBoer begin with his opening statement, and then we'll take questions. So whenever you're ready, Coach.
Yeah, you bet. Good morning. And just with it being Veterans Day, I just do want to say a quick thank you to those that have served, those that continue to serve, give us the freedoms that we have. So appreciate all the veterans. And then I think the next thing, just with injuries, I think Kane maybe alluded to it, but with Q's injury, certainly determined now that he'll be out for the remainder of the year. Unfortunately, just a special person in every way. You hate to see a guy who pours so much into it, go through what he's going through. And he just, the one thing when I think about Q, it's not just what he does on the field, but pre-practice, he is mentoring, doing things for other guys. And it's just, he cares so much about the team. He cares so much about just this place. And that's just something that sticks out on top of what you see on game days. And so just a great person. He's poured a lot into this place. And then I think recapping LSU, just proud of the way the guys prepared, proud of the way that they started, the confidence that they showed early on led to the production, led to us playing our most complete game, offense, defense, special teams, always areas that we can continue to improve. Probably the biggest thing that I saw is just our kickoff team, which has been rock solid on top of it all season long, one of the best in the country. I put them up against anyone, just having some times where we lapsed there, and a couple new looks that we needed to adjust better and quickly to. So just that was one area where we need to be better. But moving forward to Mercer, extremely high quality football team, and us handling success coming off of a game or games that we've had here. It's important for us to do the right things as far as knowing no points carry over from last week. Nothing as far as our stops carry over. We've got a team that's coming in 9-1, very confident team, pretty much lead their league in every, or not every, but most statistical categories on both sides of the ball. And so just, want to make sure we continue to do what we've been doing to take the steps in moving forward as a football program.
Thanks, Coach. We'll start with Charlie here on the right.
Yeah, Coach Kane kind of alluded to it, but Keanu Coote wasn't with you guys last week, and he kind of said he wouldn't be here this week. Do you have an update just where his status stands?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he wasn't with us, and he's suspended right now, and so not gonna get into length or anything like that. But he won't be with us this weekend.
Nick, on the right.
Yeah, Kalen, what types of, pre-snap adjustments did you guys make from previous road games for this game, specifically with making sure that clean snap, timing was right, making sure noise didn't affect things?
We did a little bit with just the procedure, a little bit of adjustment on just communication there. But it's stuff that it's just, we had done it that way. We've done it both ways, different places I've been. Feel good about both procedures. We just did adjust and tweak it just a small amount. I think probably as much as anything, it's the number of reps we got, and just this being the second time really after the Tennessee game, and then also having a bye week and just really honing in on it and be dialed, and helps when you make plays too, and there was less plays where we had as much noise, and so the percentages were more in our favor as far as just the execution piece. But our guys just did a better job handling it from start to finish.
Go to far left to Chase.
So if this comparison is a reach, then feel free to shoot it down. But 2 years ago, your first season at Washington, you won a huge game against Oregon. It was a November road game, just like LSU. You had 2 losses at the time, just like LSU.
Mm-hmm.
You win that game, and you hit the streak where you don't lose again until the CFP this past January. Was that Oregon game a catalyst for the culture you were trying to build there? And can this LSU win be similar that way?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so our experiences that we have individually, right, we always remember them and the learning moments that you go through. For our team, they weren't through that. But for me, just, you do take in those times, whether it's that season or 10 years ago. There's just things you go through that were part of the process then, that you try to remember and try to figure out what worked and what didn't, to keep the team moving in the right direction. And honestly, it's really simple. You got momentum to build off of. You make sure you take advantage of it, and then you also continue to just keep the pedal down, keep focused on what you believe in. And we've been doing that, and we were doing that then that year, and we're doing that now. Just stay in the course, and just because all of a sudden, you kind of feel like you get over a hump doesn't mean, you can just let off, because it's about the next play. The next one's the most important one, and that's good. That's been our focus really since day one. It's just that now the execution, the number of reps, all of those things are helping us execute better. And so, questions probably, Nick was just up here. How were we able to, be more productive? Well, our execution is better. We weren't behind the chains, and so the playbook's more available to you. It's a lot easier to call plays, and so just all those things, those experiences that you're referring to, yeah, I'm certainly aware of those, and it feels a lot like that, but it doesn't guarantee, right? It doesn't guarantee us anything. We got to keep moving forward, build on the momentum that we have right now at this point in the year.
Staying on the left side, let's go to Tony.
What development have you seen from the backup quarterbacks in your unit, Ty and Dylan and Austin, this season working behind Jalen?
Yeah, good question. Because you don't see them. We get to see them, and this is what I'll tell you, that the work that they are putting in, there's guys throwing on, I guess yesterday would have been Sunday, right? Because I can envision walking outside for a second and seeing, one of the guys out there throwing at 9 a.m. in the morning, doing his thing, and others just really paying attention in the meetings and coming up and meeting individually with Mitch Dowling, with our offensive staff, Coach Sheridan, myself, just a lot of opportunities that they're all taking advantage of to help their growth. And then they get on the football field. You see familiarity with the offense, especially those. Austin had a little bit more familiarity, but then you also see growth in fundamental things. Guys that are helping out with scout team. I know last week I talked about Austin being heavily involved in the scout team. Just you see the throws, the accuracy of the throws. You just taking advantage of every rep, and these guys are doing that. And this season isn't just something that's about Jalen and like, oh, I hope I get my time. They're pressing forward and using the resources we have, and then also putting forth the effort to improve any time that they can.
Go to the middle of the room to Emily Grace.
Coach, you mentioned in the open that it's important how success is handled. At this point in the season, what is your standard for how that success is handled with your players, but also your staff?
It's going to be the same no matter what time of the year. It's all about the next play, the next play, and then obviously for us now the next game. We talked about handling success before. We've won games earlier in the season and talked about handling success, and I still felt like the effort and everything poured into the right things was happening then too. But I also think that now we've been tested, we've been through adversity. We're a little more, we've been through the battles together, and I think we understand better who we are, but we also understand better, what we can do. And, we're honing in on what our strengths are. We've continued to really focus on the weaknesses and areas that people maybe perceive as ways to get after us on both sides of the ball. And so, I think that's the whole key, is handling success is one thing, but our just continual development and growth and improvement, that's a big deal for us right now. And that's what's happened over the last 3 or 4 weeks, is that's finally coming to fruition. You can see it in practice, and unfortunately there's been times where you don't see it in a game. Now you saw it in a game in a lot of different ways.
Back right, Ryan.
Coach, some of the reporters here covered Coach Saban in the past, and the players had Coach Saban as their coach. How do you handle a success like that? The social media, everyone's saying Alabama's back after a must-win game, and kind of telling them to stay the course, kind of like what Emily Grace was saying.
Yeah, I think we've I don't want to say we learned a lesson, but we understand that doesn't matter, right? And we understand that it's all about building on what we did do last week, because it was significant, just like we would learn from the areas that we're falling short on a game we've lost. But it's all about just staying with the process, staying with the preparation. Want the guys to keep an edge, because I think there is a little bit of an edge, a little bit of I don't want to say chip on their shoulder. I think edge is the better word to use that we have. A little bit of backs to the wall, kind of fighting for your life at times, that I think exists. And I think every guy has a little different way of where they're driven to go out there and put forth the best effort in practice, bring the best energy that they have. What I've really challenged the guys with is to have more and more leaders stepping up. I think I've said that in here a few weeks back, is that our young guys aren't young guys anymore. Our transfers, they're not transfers anymore. We are a full team, and we need every guy, because there's starters that now, we were just referred to Q. There's starters that aren't with us, aren't able to be on the football field due to injury. More and more guys got to step up, yes, on Saturdays, but more and more just need to step up as leaders. And the more leaders we can have that, first of all, take care of their business and bring then others that can bring the rest of the team with them. There's a lot of influence on our football team in a good way, and you can see it and feel it on the practice field, and that's where it all starts.
Go to Kennington in the front row here.
Kind of on that note, how did Devontae Smith come out of Saturday, and what did you see from Deshaun Jones filling in to his place?
Good question. With Deshaun, he's been just right there, ready to go. We've moved him around a little bit with positions, just because he's a very versatile player, and he's got game experience, with his past, and coming in, just kind of learning things and being ready to go. I'm really proud of him for that. So I'm excited about his growth that he's had, and the opportunities he's taken advantage of, like he did on Saturday. with Devontae. That would be something I think just throughout the week we'll continue to manage and kind of see where he's at. I haven't heard the update today, but I think he'll be fine as the week continues on.
Opposite side here. Let's go to Colin.
Hey, Kalen, kind of going off of a couple questions, but I mean, LSU isn't traditionally a game where you get to see kind of younger players, second string. The game had been decided at that point, but to have guys like Richard Young or Ty or guys that usually may not get to experience Tiger Stadium until they have to, until the job is theirs. What was it like to, I guess, see those guys in those roles, those younger guys, both on offense and defense, kind of be able to go up to that?
Yeah, you're happy for them because they work extremely hard. Those guys, as we said, quarterbacks are working extra, putting extra time in. Getting our running backs, you alluded to with Rich, getting out there on the football field. All these guys that work extremely hard, getting a chance to go out there, be rewarded. That's what it's all about. And we're a team, and it's not just the 11 guys that are out there starting on each side of the ball. So I'm happy for them, and glad that we executed well enough to where we were in that spot to where those guys get a chance to go out and perform. And when they get their moment, they're taking advantage of it. They've done it a number of times throughout the year.
We got time for a couple more questions, starting with Jack here.
Hey, Kalen, you talked about leadership. Obviously, Tyler Booker's gotten a lot of praise in that regard. How big has he been? And when you think back to when you first arrived, how big was he at that time just to have some stabilization with the players as you kind of got settled in?
Yeah, there's been a number of leaders on our team that have really, since day one, been critical for us. And the questions about Book, I can't give him enough praise. And I can say this because I know he handles it, and he can handle it well, and it's not something that goes to his head. He is so passionate about this place. He's so passionate about being the best he can be. He's got a resiliency, I think, and just, that has helped us as a team also have that, level of response to adversity that's been positive. He just keeps pushing. He's got respect amongst his teammates at the highest level. From a leadership standpoint, he's vocal, but obviously leads by example all at the same time. And the combination, he might be one of the best leaders I've ever been around. And so I know that's saying a lot because I've been around a lot of really good ones. And, when you put those guys in that category, he's really special. And it's because he takes care of his business, 100% of the time. And he's pushing others to make sure that they're their best too. And I think that's what great leaders do, is they bring the best out of everyone else around them.
All right, we'll finish up here on the back line.
You've now had a blowout and a shutout over ranked opponents. What does that mean in terms of making a statement?
Yeah, I like the progress we've had, and every week's a new challenge in different ways. Last week, with the passing game and kind of the way that we felt we knew they would attack us, rising to the challenge, was big. And the shutout the week before happened as a combination of stopping both the run and the pass, different quarterbacks in and out. But that's progress. Like, there's steps forward. There's confidence that continues to build, a trust that happens between the front and the back halves. I really like the demeanor that they bring, and it all starts with what their demeanor is going to be tomorrow morning, Tuesday, when we step on the football field. That's really the demeanor that you want and that we've had, that needs to continue for us to do the same thing this Saturday that we did last Saturday. And so, again, when that mindset's where it needs to be and the work's done each and every day, that trust, that belief, it just continues to build. And you can see that with our defense.
All right, thank you, Phil.
Thank you. Roll Tide.